Hello everyone and welcome back to the 48 Now Desk. I'm digital host AJ Wiest and we have a very special guest today as Atlanta Rhythm Section is coming to the VBC's Mars Music Hall tomorrow, June 28th. Today I am joined with the lead guitarist for Atlanta Rhythm Section. He's been called Huntsville's greatest rock musician. Ladies and gentlemen, Dave Anderson. Dave.
Oh man, I can't live up to that.
Thank you so much for joining in with me today. We are
Thanks for having me.
super excited to have you. Yes, sir. But first, Dave, you're, of course, from Huntsville originally.
Mhm.
You attended Grissom High School.
Right.
First, what's going through your mind leading up to playing your hometown?
It's a little strange because we play all over the country, and it's different having a lot of friends in the audience, and I'm actually singing this show because our singer is in the hospital right now, and it's nothing too serious, but we're hoping he's okay. So it's going to be a little strange, but we're still going to have fun and see a lot of friendly faces.
Very cool. And I take it you enjoy singing as well?
I do. I prefer being off to the side playing guitar, but I sing also, so I won't be too out of my comfort zone.
That's right. Well, super cool. And Dave, I read somewhere you actually saw Atlanta Rhythm Section in concert back when you were in middle school. And now, of
Yeah.
course, you are a member of the band. How surreal is that moment, like looking back at it?
It was really surreal when I first joined. It still is because a good friend of mine, Jim Keeling, and we met for the first time to jam together. He was playing drums, I was playing guitar, and after we were done jamming, he said, "Are you going to go see ARS?" I said, "Yeah," and he said, "Let's meet up at the soundboard." And he ended up being the drummer for ARS, and that's how I got into the band. He has since retired from drumming, from touring, but so when we were actually together for the first time in the band, we were shaking our heads, thinking, who would have thought?
Very, very cool. Did you have like a favorite ARS song growing up? Whether it was the chords to play, whether it was the melody, the lyrics?
I liked them all. I loved Champagne Jam. I loved So Into You, which was the biggest of their hits, I think. Not Gonna Let It Bother Me Tonight might be my favorite, but the chords, some of their stuff, and I thought I was the only one that said this, but a lot of people call ARS the Steely Dan of the South because they're put in the Southern rock genre, but they're really a little more. The writing has been more sophisticated. There's when you mention chords, there's smarter chords and smarter lyrics. Buddy Bowie, the manager, co-wrote songs with J.R. Cobb and Dean Daughtry, and with his great lyrics and their chords, they made magic.
Right, right. And describe smarter chords. Like for me, like G is a pretty smart chord, just the basic
Well,
G.
their
So
song Georgia Rhythm is just basically G and two other chords and the truth, but they seventh chords, minor seventh chords, and chord changes that they still sound very accessible and very commercial, but when you break it down, it's there's a lot more thought going on to the writing. And I dabbled in jazz as a kid and a young adult, and that always kind of appealed to me. But it's still very accessible because their biggest pop hits had those chords all throughout them.
right, and it's definitely a very, very beautiful sound. Dave, when you were 10 years old growing up, you were gifted your first electric guitar. I believe I read it was a horn-shaped red Gibson guitar. How
Right.
much of, yeah,
It was actually a Sears copy of a Gibson SG. So go
okay.
ahead. Sorry.
Yes, but just that first guitar, how much of a game changer was that for your early life and becoming the big rock star that you are today?
I'm more like a mock star, but it was huge. Getting that guitar was monumental for me. It changed everything. I mean, I always knew I was going to play guitar, or thought I was, and having the electric guitar I found a few other people that had electric guitars and drums, and we formed a band together and played at the 5th grade talent show.
Uh-huh.
And I still have a cassette of it, and the applause after it. I mean, it's kind of funny. We just played "Smoke on the Water," the guitar riff over and over, then
Awesome
it's short
riff.
drum solo, and it was pretty ragtag, but the thunderous applause and it was just, it changed everything really.
Very cool. And then from there, can you speak a little bit about your journey leading up to becoming a member of ARS?
Well, I like you said, I went to Grissom High School, and it was a really fertile time for musicians. Played in the jazz band with people like Ken Waters and Mark Smith, and we later played in a band called the Jungle. Some bands, Hayes, that were guys from Huntsville High. Glenn Maxey was in it. He became a member of Brother Kane, which I became a member as well. We're doing shows together next month. And I surrounded myself with players that I thought were better than me. So that's kind of what I've tried to do. And I think it's kind of helped get me places that I try to be.
Very well said. And I see there's a bunch of guitars behind you.
Yeah.
Do you have a particular guitar that is just your all-time favorite? Like you are scared to let anyone touch it or play it. You're like, this is my guitar.
Well, I'm one of those people that's not scared to let people touch my guitars, because even though they're works of art, they're tools. But behind me, there's the Tommy Shepard Les Paul right here. I'm trying to line up my finger with the backwards camera. And behind there's a T. Shepard Strat and a Telly and a Danny Davis acoustic over this way. Wait, I got it. Over that way. And he's a local guy that builds great acoustic guitars. So most of my guitars are my local friends' builds. My electrics with Tommy and my acoustics with Danny. But that Les Paul is probably the main one.
Yes, that is super awesome. Do you have any stories that come to mind when you first joined the band, spending time with maybe some of the original band members of ARS?
Definitely. When I first joined, Dean Daughtry was the solo original member, and I got to hear the most incredible stories, like them hanging out with the Beatles at the Bag of Nails in London after sessions, recording with Graham Nash producing in Abbey Road, and getting to play on the Beatles gear. There's a picture with Dean and Graham Nash sitting at the Mellotron from Strawberry Fields, and Dean's dressed like Austin Powers, looks totally cool. And to hear those stories was great. But then when the original members, Paul Goddard on bass and Rodney Justo, our singer, the original singer, our current singer, when to hear them tell the stories together was a different level, because they'd say, "You remember when this happened? Oh yeah, and then this happened," and their eyes would light up, and the stories really came to life. And I always told Dean he should write a book, because of all the years that we played together, I'd hear a new story like, "Oh yeah, I bought my first fuzz pedal from Jimmy Page when we were touring in Australia." And I'm like, "What? I've been with this band for 5 years. I'm just now hearing this." So it was tons of great stories. It's probably, other than playing those great songs, those stories really stand out.
I'd imagine so. That is so cool. Talk about Huntsville. What has changed here in the 256 since you were growing up?
It's always been a hotbed of great musicians, and I think that some of the water flows backstream from Muscle Shoals. Not to claim any of their glory, but I think there's just something in the water in North Alabama, and I think that it's really exciting to see so many younger musicians that are carrying on original music. And it's just always been a pretty cool music scene, and everybody seems supportive of each other. And the only regret for me is I don't get out to see everybody else play often, because I'm playing a lot of the time. But it's a cool scene, and especially now with the music office, there's a lot of other avenues and opportunities that seem to be opening up. So it seems to be a good time to be a musician in Huntsville.
Absolutely, and that was my next question. Would you say the music scene here in Huntsville is only
Dang it,
continuing
I
to
lost
grow?
the audio. I'm sorry.
Oh no, you're all good. You're all good.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, and that leads into my next question. Would you say the music scene, the music culture here in Huntsville is only continuing to grow?
I think so. I really do. Because like I said, the original music is it seems to be a lot more of it than when I was coming up. And granted, we know more about each other because of the internet and YouTube and all that stuff. But I constantly hear bands that are very young and sound like they've been playing for years and have fully defined sounds so yeah, I think it's definitely growing, and I love to see that.
Very exciting stuff. Dave, what are you most excited about tomorrow? Whether it's a song that you're going to be performing, whether it's just being on stage in front of your hometown, what are you most excited about?
Just being on stage with so many friends there, because growing up as long as I have here, I have so many friends and I know so many people that I've heard from that are going to be at the show, and at, part of me feels pressure from it, but the other part makes me feel like um, it's a welcoming crowd. So I really hope to be able to see people and make eye contact and be able to enjoy that moment, seeing all those friends.
That's right. And throughout the years since you joined the band, in 2006, I believe, or honestly, even some of the bands you were a part of here in North Alabama before you joined ARS, is there a memory that sticks out of you performing a little bit more than others? Like a particular city you've played in, something that transpired at the show, anything like that?
With ARS,
Yes, yes.
yeah, so many. I think actually yes, I can think of one right now. We played with Michael McDonald on a rock cruise, and about almost 2 years later, we played opening for him in Iowa, and I ran into him backstage, and he picked up. Not only did he remember me, I don't think he remembered my name, but he remembered the conversation that we were having the last time I saw him, and he picked up where we left off, which was actually about one of his bass players that's from the band Warm, Lannis, from the Sand Mountain area. Um, and when I got off stage, he was standing at the side, and I got one of these. I was
Hmm.
like, "All right, I'll take it."
Super incredible. Well, Dave, that is all the questions I have for you. If maybe I didn't ask something that you would like to add, but otherwise, thank you so much for joining in with me today. It's been super awesome.
Thank you. Great questions, actually.
Yes.
Enjoyed it.
Well, thank you so much. For anyone watching at home right now, make sure you head on out to the Mars Music Hall tomorrow, June 28th, and you're not going to want to miss Mr. Dave Anderson here with Atlanta Rhythm Section. But
Thank you.
Dave, thank you so much.
Thank you.